Hello, everyone. That's my new informal way of starting the quarterly hangouts, by the way. Just made that up right now. This is the quarterly hangout for the listeners of Daily Tech News Show to be able to give us a chance to give you an idea of the state of the show, how we're doing, what plans we might have in mind, get some questions from the folks in the audience. Analysts have a special questions channel. If you're an analyst or an advisor supporter on the Patreon, you get that questions channel. We also have the IRC chat going, and we have the Discord open as well. So it's not just limited, but I'll be looking at the questions channel first before anything else. How are you guys doing?
I'm doing good. Roger, how are you doing?
I'm okay. I spent all morning going outside. I was telling Tom I was collecting pieces of my roof tile off the surrounding area because there was a huge windstorm early this morning. Like it was like 25, 30 mile an hour winds.
Yeah.
And it blew some of your roof off?
Well, my roof is already kind of my roof needs to be replaced.
An ongoing thought, the roof.
Yeah, but more pieces of it came off than I wanted to. But
hopefully it wasn't too much of a cleanup or a hassle. It was to my knowledge, my roof did not blow off last night, but it was very windy at my house too. I had to close all the windows just because it was like howling wind.
One would assume you'd notice if your roof had blown off.
We had.
You'd think, but
you would know.
You're a sound sleeper.
So many noises. I have one of those swing open, kind of a cupboard, style window, and one of the latches, because it was shaking so much overnight, undone, and it swung the window open. So I had to jury rig some twist ties to keep it shut.
Well, let's. One of the things I want to talk about, obviously, is the whole Patreon drama with the change of fees. When we first scheduled this, we were thinking we would have to talk a lot about adaptations and such, but thankfully they've pressed pause on that plan, so we will not be changing the fees. But I thought because of that, you might be interested historically in how Daily Tech News Show fits into this. And a lot of the confusion over the fees is just the fact that processing fees and transaction fees are very confusing. I'm not sure I entirely understand it. But what Patreon was trying to do is average out all the different fees into a standardized fee that would hopefully cover their cost. And then they were going to kick it out to the patrons and charge over there. It differed by Patreon. In fact, Patreons that I run have way different percentage of fees that get taken out because it's different per person. If you're paying by Stripe, if you're paying by credit card, if you're paying by a particular kind of credit card, if you're international, there's different fees all over. So the makeup of our audience actually changes what the percentage of fees are taken out. Now, Patreon has been great up until now, being entirely transparent about this and saying you'll pay only what the actual processing fee is, which is one of the challenges of pushing it out to patrons. Is they were trying to make it a standardized fee so patrons knew what to expect, but that meant it might be unfair to some who wouldn't have paid as high of a fee, and it would be a bargain for especially international users who would have had to pay a larger fee, not on top of the fee they probably already pay for an international transaction. Anyway, all that is by way of explaining why you will hear Patreon say that fees can be around 10% or more for some creators. DTNS is lucky. Ours isn't. Ours historically hasn't been that. Part of that's because we're monthly. Part of that's because we just have an audience that has figured out how to pay in ways that don't rack up fees, and who knows why that is. So December, the processing fee take was 5.97%. That is the second lowest it's ever been. Which, for propaganda purposes is bad for Patreon because it would have meant that our processing fees would have gone through the roof under the new system, although they would have been paid by you. Now they won't. November, it was 5.94%. October was 6%. September was 6.64%. It's generally hovered around 6% all the way back into. We were getting 7% back in May and April. I'd be curious to find out how this changed. I think our highest ever looks like was January 2015 when we paid 8.47%. And that was, let's see, that was at a time, January 2015, 8.42%. That was at a time when we were bringing in $12,864. So the show itself was making less money, but the percentage fee was higher. I wonder if that has to do with more people only backing us, and so the fee was not divided up amongst that one payment.
Just kind of goes to show you how much this stuff really does fluctuate.
Yeah.
Because you have to do a little math to try to figure out what was going on in January 2015.
Yeah. I know a lot of you guys are worried about, what's the damage? How many people did we lose as a result of this? Because a lot of people moved to PayPal. On the one hand, we had a lot of people move to PayPal. I don't have a full count of it yet because it's hard to tell who actually just backed us on PayPal because of the fact that they back us on PayPal. We've always had a few $100s every month of that, and how many people did it particularly. Some people put it in their notes. But I'm waiting for this page to load, but we definitely lost a lot at the beginning, but it looks like a lot of them have come back. So that's good.
And that was the hope was, that if for any reason things got back to normal, that Patreon would still be a good processor for the patron.
Yeah. Okay, so right now we are down $120.87 over November and down 154 patrons. Now, if you do a little quick math in your head, those numbers don't match up. And that's because so many of you actually increased your support because of losing the people. And we super appreciate that. I hate to say, I hope you don't reduce your support again, but I understand if the only reason you were doing it before was this. So yeah, it's we've lost 154 patrons, which is going to ruin my monthly goal of always getting one patron more than next month, unfortunately.
Well, hopefully, same time next year, all this will have been quote unquote sorted out. I think one of the things in the back of my head is, okay, so Patreon has backtracked on this particular approach. What will they come up with, and will it be neutral in terms of impact on our show, or will it have maybe a similar but if not as great an impact on the patrons? I don't know. The whole thing, just having had to deal with credit processing before. Every credit card company, as you're saying, charges a different rate, and there's one reason why very few stores take American Express, because they have one of the highest rates for processing, and my dad dropped them like 4 years in. And it is a very fluid thing, because it's not a hard percentage that forever is like 5 or 6 or even 7%. It depends on what the company wants to do.
Dark Redeemer said, did the amount of income more or less even out among all the sources of donations? It looks like right now it probably did, but one weirdness of that is a lot of the people who said, I'm giving on PayPal now because I don't like the new Patreon fees, gave 12 months at a go, right? They'd give us $12. Like, here's my $1 a month donation. Boom. Covers me for a year. I'll talk to in a year. So it definitely made up the gap that I just mentioned dollar-wise. But presumably that person isn't going to keep giving $12 because that was supposed to cover the whole year. So I'm not sure how that plays out, but close. I'd say it's comfortably close. The other thing is, if you remember, when they announced the new fees, we created new levels that were $1, or in the advisor case, $2 less to cover the fee. So that if you're like, I'm going to get hit, by this this 38-cent fee, and I give $1 to a lot of different people. Particularly at the dollar level, it would have been nice. We couldn't do it at the dollar level, but we did at the others to say we'll cover that fee for you, and a lot of people took advantage of that, which is great. That's why we did it. We have asked that if you did that, now that you don't have to pay that fee, if you could readjust your dollar back up to the next level. And the majority of people have done that. We still have 26 people who haven't. I know one person in particular said that they weren't going to because the $9 level made it possible for them in a way that the $10 wouldn't. It's just their personal math. We won't be kicking those people off. It's, I don't want to just run them out and say, forget you, we don't want your money. But we took those rewards away. So because the whole point was to cover the fee, and we don't need to cover the fee anymore. Yeah. So hopefully that doesn't cause any ill feelings on anybody. I'm trying to walk the line of like, it's kind of unfair to other people that this person gets to have the $10 level at the $9 level because they just happen to be there at the right time and because Patreon changed their mind. Dogs are upset about it, right? Unlike it.
Sawyer's like, I only wanted to pay $9.
Yeah. So I know it's a little unfair, but at the same time, I don't feel it's right to just be like, nope, screw you. Get out of here. So hopefully most of those people will be able to migrate back to the regular level. What else? What else on the financial front? I already answered that. Dark Redeemer asked about the overall income. So yeah, I mean, honestly, I'd like to, hopefully in January, we can get back to focusing on our goal being a second roundtable show. We want to make the roundtable show. We'll be doing one this Friday. We want to make that the key for you. We want to make that like something really that you like. And so we're continuing to want your feedback on that, what you like about it, because we know that this is something that a lot of you really enjoy, and we'd like to do more of them. I think the goal would be eventually to have every Friday be a roundtable show that still gives you the headlines, because we heard that loud and clear, but also gives you some broader perspective on stuff with different kinds of guests. So that's our next goal. If we can get from the current level up to 22,000, we'll add a second roundtable. And I want to start focusing on that push going forward. We also have...
I love the roundtables, so I hope everyone else does too, and we'll do more of them.
Yeah. We also have DTNS Labs project coming from Sarah Lane. I don't know how much we want to...
Well,
it's up to you how much you want to tell them.
Excuse me. We're technically a month out from when we decided we would do this.
Yeah, just about.
I don't know. We can talk about it as much as you want, Tom.
Yeah. Go for it. I'm comfortable telling people all about it, but it's your gig, so.
Okay, well, let's talk about it. So this actually it's good timing because we have sort of a month for everyone to give me feedback and prepare yourselves. But what we find in every show of DTNS is that in any 24-hour period, we get lots of feedback that comes into our mailbag, feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. And and some of it comes through Slack or to us individually. But anyway, it's basically the old email bag. And often we have to decide what email goes into the show, because if it was all of the emails, then it would be a really long show. That said, there is a spinoff / spillover / I don't know, it doesn't exist yet, but it's going to soon, and that is a mailbag show. And in my mind, it's kind of and we're just gonna try to tackle a lot more of things that some of the community is asking each other. I can act as sort of a, hey, let's all answer John's question here, that sort of thing. It's not just me answering questions.
Yeah, it's been really fun in the main show when we've done that. Like, hey, Andrea has this issue and she wants to know if anybody's been able to come up with a good solution for it, and then we get a bunch of people write in, and it's okay to handle that within the regular DTNS, but we could do so much more of that in a separate show.
Exactly. I mean, our email segment on Daily Tech News Show is towards the end of the show, and we don't have time to spend a lot of time on it. Sometimes even when we go long, we don't get to any emails. So this is just an opportunity to be like, hey, we love feedback. We want to put it a little bit more front and center. And so really, this show, this segment is, in essence, that's what it is. It can evolve into anything we want it to be.
Yeah.
And I hope it will. And so yeah, keeping that in mind, knowing that that we're going to take greater care in featuring more of you. Right in.
yeah. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. Send us your thoughts. We've got some good ones piled up, but we can always use more. And I know that's one of the things we get in our regular surveys is people saying, I feel like the email segments are too long or not valuable to me. And so we've been trying to walk the line between loving having, external voices in the show, but keeping it so that it doesn't, weigh down the show and the show feels like it's half somebody, us reading somebody else's voice. Right. So this is a chance for the people who really love that email side of things or want to try these, this helping each other out, a conduit for that, while keeping it in the main show too.
And, again, this is, this will evolve in whatever way our community likes it the most. But we also get a lot of suggestions like, oh, so-and-so would be such a great guest for DTNS. And that's also an option. It's like, hey, is there somebody that, might be able to remote in and kind of like hang out with me and answer some questions, in the field that they are better than I am at, some of these questions. Like, for example, would Rob Reed like to hang out and answer some crypto questions? In some mailbag segments, or any of the other people that often come through as suggestions for us to have on the show. Those are options too, and in fact, I love that because I'm not going to be a wealth of knowledge for everything, and it's just more fun to have a conversation. So yeah,
definitely.
So suggestions for guests as well, welcome.
And George Orr in the boss's Slack says, would it make sense to use a feedback channel here, meaning in the Slack, as well as the feedback email, or just use the questions general chat? I think it's easier for us to manage and keep track of things if they're emails.
Yes, definitely easier to track because it's easier to select, but also to know what we've done already. Because we get a number of emails per show the following days, and as the weeks mount, they get pretty big. So it's more of a question of data management via email over. Although I mean the feedback questions, the question Slack in the boss's Slack is super helpful, but just in terms of production to manage, the questions that we have, and sometimes more than one person has the same or similar question, and so we tend to group those as well together.
Yeah.
So it's just easier from that management side.
I mean, I don't think we need a separate feedback channel in Slack. Questions is good for that. General is good for that. But if you want to be on the show, I'm probably always going to suggest emailing the feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com just so we don't lose track of it. It's an organizational thing at that point. Yeah, George Orr even says, I use my email as a bit of a to-do list myself. So I hear you. That's kind of what's going on there. I know that the Getting Things Done crowd will howl at the idea of using your email as a to-do list, but
yeah,
those who are without sin send the first email, as they say. Hey, let's talk a little bit. Anything else along that lines before we talk about future plans?
Not from me. Yeah, I mean, just to reiterate, we're gonna try to put this all together for the first time on a monthly basis, at least at first, at the end of January. So it gives you a month.
Yep. Friday, like I mentioned, Friday, December 22nd will be our roundtable show for the second month. It will not be the final Friday. I'm going to give up calling it the final Friday because that freaks some people out who thought this is the last Friday show you're ever going to do. It's just going to, we'll probably end up doing it on the last Friday of the month going forward. But November was weird with Thanksgiving. Of course, we got Christmas holidays here. So December 22nd, AAA roundtable. Amber Mack, Annie Gauss, Ashley Esqueda, and Era Lane and Aam Merritt. We're all changing our names to begin with A's.
And it was completely
Adam
coincidental, by the way.
Actually, my middle name's Andrew. I could do that.
So we can make it 5 A's. Listen, when I got the 3 A's, I just noticed it because that's how it appeared in the calendar. It's like, oh, A.
Yeah, AAA.
Like, oh, it's AAA.
No, it's good.
Coincidental, completely coincidental.
So yes, if you are an advisor, there is a thread where you can suggest topics for one of the roundtable topics. Please do that, and we'll start a vote this week on a selection of those. I think I have a. Do I have a? I need to make a task for that. I think. Post a vote. This is live work happening. Post advisor poll. I'm going to do that on Tuesday. We'll make that happen. So keep getting those nominations in until Tuesday, and then you'll have Tuesday until like Thursday night to pick that.
Sorry, I keep muting myself. I'm a frog in my throat today.
What species?
It's a tree frog, I'm sure.
Species of frog? Isn't frog the species?
Well, there's a jumping frog like you have in Calaveras County. There's could be a toad.
I feel like that's just a type of a species, which is frog. I don't know.
Is it frog like a class or I don't know?
Yeah, I don't think.
I don't actually know.
Kingdom, was it Kingdom Phylum? Oh, I used to remember this Kingdom.
Genus,
Phylum.
Maybe frog is a genus.
Oh, okay. I don't know what species it is, but I did get some De La Paz coffee from my coffee shop down the street. For anybody not familiar, it's a.
That was pretty quick. You disappeared off camera.
You did it just now.
Right. Yeah. It's the coffee shop is very close. No, I made a pot and I just couldn't wait because I drank the first cup already. It's delicious. It's a San Francisco company.
Frog is the order Anura. It's not even called frog.
Great.
So what are they
Any
calling
member
them?
of a diverse and largely carnivorous group of short-bodied tailless amphibians composing the order Anura from the Greek an without and ura tail.
Huh.
So there you go. Learn something new every day. Okay, so roundtable on the 22nd. Normal slate next week. Veronica, Patrick, Scott, Justin. And no Daily Tech News Show on December 25th on Christmas Day. In fact, no headlines on Christmas Day or New Year's. Those are the only real holidays we take.
Day of rest.
Yeah.
2 days.
So December 25th, January 1st, no DTNS, no Daily Tech headlines. They're international holidays. Even, Japan celebrates Christmas Day. Everybody celebrates January 1st. December 26th will be our retro show. I'm so excited for that. It was so much fun. I'm glad you guys voted that one in. December 27th is the listener co-host show. That was a ton of fun. We had a great conversation with the folks on that one. December 28th is our predictions results show, where most of us look at our 2016 predictions for 2017. But Sarah, you got to finally follow up on your predictions from 2013 for 2014.
Right. Yeah, because that was the last time that I participated in a prediction show.
Yeah.
Or why I haven't been asked over the last few years, Tom and Roger, but whatever.
Are you kidding? I totally asked you, didn't I? Did I forget to ask you? I'm sorry.
No. Who knows? You probably did.
I probably did. I don't even remember.
It's great, especially because, some of my predictions didn't age all that well, but others did.
You actually nailed a couple of them. And having the extra years helped a couple of them too. December 29th is our predictions episode. That will come with a disclaimer because I forgot this principle, which I think I held at one point, and I just forgot this year. Don't do your predictions episode too early. Predictions episode probably should be the last special we record.
Well, and just so people know, it's because we're not doing a regular show between Christmas and New Year's. We recorded
these. Yeah.
time. So the fact that the prediction show happened to be the first was kind of just like a, well, we've got to schedule a bunch of stuff. So it really wasn't something it wasn't that we didn't think anything would come true in a month. It was truly just something that
it was logistics. Yeah. It was like, this is the date that works out for the people who need to be on the show. But a couple of the predictions are already expired. Like they've either come true. I think both of them have come true actually. So yeah. So that'll be fun for you to listen to.
Yeah, it's one of those moments where you can be like, oh, that's what they were talking about.
Yep.
This is not a prediction, it's a reality.
January 2nd, of course, will be our anniversary show. 4 years in the books. January 2nd, 2014 was the first DTNS. So that'll be fun. Patrick Beja will be on that show. And then on January 8th will be from CES, January 9th and January 10th from CES as well.
Great.
Oh, and yeah, we won't be having our normal cavalcade of contributors because we'll be doing our guests live from the convention floor.
Need to make sure that
booth.
The contributors know that.
Yes.
But yeah, we'll have Patrick Norton. We'll have Shannon Morse. I think we're going to get Bill Detweiler from Tech Republic. You're on that, right?
I am. I sent out an email. I am waiting for a reply.
Yeah. We just need to get the timing scheduled. So yeah, that'll be a lot of fun. And we're also going to be at the evening press conferences, Digital Experience, CES Unveiled, and Showstoppers.
Uh-oh.
What happened?
Well, let me continue. So we're going to have Patrick Shannon Morse. We're going to have a couple of other folks that we can find.
Ever since this on the audio version of this, you'll keep hearing me talk. Ever since we switched to you starting the Hangout, Roger, sometimes if I choose the window that the video is in, it closes.
Wait, are you saying I have some secret machination too?
No, I don't think it has to do with you. I think it's the fact that the start broadcast button isn't in my window is causing it to do something weird. But as I was saying, the three of us are gonna be talking this coming week about what to do at CES in general, but also particularly about like, what do we want to do at those evening press conferences? Do we want to do little live streams or record little bits or what? So yeah, we'll definitely be eating. Do you want to watch us eat? Maybe we'll just talk about food.
Watch Roger eat all the gout-safe food.
Review all the shrimp.
That's one thing I will never eat. I got a bad shrimp once, and it's pretty much. I mean, I like prawns. Not to say I don't like shrimp, but I had a bad hors d'oeuvre experience, and I've been very shy about having that again.
Yeah. So yeah, if you have any ideas of if you've seen people cover Showstoppers, what they call PepCom or Digital Experience or CES Unveiled, and you're like, hey, what I'd like to hear from you guys is X. The one thing I don't think we want to do is the typical like, let's walk to this table. What do you do? Okay, thank you for your pre-rehearsed statement. To the next table. That's not that interesting.
No. Yeah, it'll be interesting.
Send us your ideas. We'll come up with some ideas too.
We could do it live from the Pinball Museum. Or is there one?
That's not where the conference is, though.
I know, but we could play pinball too.
You're like, let's just skip the conferences and go to the Pinball Museum.
Is the Pinball Museum in Vegas?
Yeah, there's one in Vegas.
The
only reason I know is because John Dvorak goes.
First I've heard of it.
He says John Dvorak also says there's a very tasty taco truck that parks right outside.
There's also a meetup that we're gonna do, and we have to nail down the time and location of that. So keep your eyes on the Patreon for that. And that will be that. All right. Anything else? Any other business that we need to cover?
Talked about Patreon, talked about CES, talked about mailbag, bonus labs show upcoming.
Biocow says he thinks a wrap up of 5 really cool things we saw at each press conference might be cool.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
Hmm.
there will be a lot of less cool things. So it'd be kind of fun to be like, okay, if there are only 5 things that we can take out of the
Yeah.
showstoppers.
If there are 5 things we could
That-
steal from Showstoppers without getting caught. Probably shouldn't document that though.
Generally, I used to just hand my business cards like, I need a review unit. Can you ship it here?
Nice.
I would
We could also talk to people. I mean, the one thing that I always get out of these things is seeing people that I haven't seen in a long time, like other reporters and experts and analysts and stuff like that.
occasionally they'll pull out a B-list celebrity to wander the floor because they're a spokesperson for something, and you can talk to them.
Well, yeah, I was thinking more like Molly Wood and Andrew
Oh,
Hahn and
I was
folks like
thinking
that versus
Richter or
yeah.
who's the comedian that smashes all the
Drew.
fruit with a big
Oh,
Gallagher?
yeah.
Yeah, he was there one year.
Yeah, I'm not that interested in that. I mean, if Lil B shows up, I'll be all over that.
Is Gallagher still doing his thing?
No, I don't know, but I know he did live in Vegas because I shot a short bit with Veronica and him once.
That's fun. He's one of those I know who he is. I know he's the watermelon guy, but I've never seen a stand-up act of his.
Right.
I've just seen like the video boxes like at the video store.
Yeah.
The
Same
thing
here.
is, Gallagher is one of those comedians that you really kind of have to like that particular act to enjoy. Because I've seen one, I saw one on home video, and I just maybe you need to physically be there, but I wasn't. Like,
BioCal points out that his brother has taken over. So there's a new Gallagher.
Oh, maybe he's funnier.
Yeah. Or less funny if you're a Gallagher fan. Still goes by Gallagher. All right. So we're gonna we keep taking questions. So if you're in the Slack, go to the #questions channel. If you are in the IRC, you can ask questions in there as well. And I'm gonna send this link to PJC Reese, one of our advisors. Because if you are at the advisor level, we give you the opportunity to join us on this Hangout. You just have to tell us ahead of time so that we know where to find you. Where is he? I bet he's over here somewhere. But you guys can speak your mind if you got anything else going on. While I do that. On your minds?
Well, I mean, I'm thinking about what to eat for brunch. That's on my mind.
Well,
brunch is always on my mind. Like Willie Nelson.
Trying to think what I can make
with this.
To scroll by a photo that Andy Anatko posted of pancakes with whipped cream and looks like walnuts on top. And now that's all I can think about.
The problem with pancakes, as soon as you eat pancakes, you can't eat anything else because you're stuffed.
That's why I always have a problem with pancakes on the side. You know, like when you're like, oh, get steak, eggs, and a side of pancakes.
Makes no sense to me.
Yeah. Pancakes are the meal.
Yeah.
Maybe a side of bacon with your pancakes, but not like a full meal with pancakes on the side.
Well, and 3 of us went out to a place that had good pancakes recently, and like we all talked about them, and then none of us were pancakes because it's like so dangerous.
Too much.
Yeah, the whole day then is sort of
empty carbs.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's funny because I prefer cornmeal pancakes over to just.
Ooh, I like cornmeal pancakes too.
Yeah,
they're so rich and decadent.
Paul is here. How's it going, Paul?
Pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. How you been since the last time we spoke?
Pretty busy actually.
Yeah.
Got lots of kids who are in school and finishing out the semester for midterms, so they can enjoy the rest of their December.
I see you have a Star Trek shirt on.
I do.
In Star Wars weekend, you're fighting against the current. I like it.
That's right.
So as an advisor, longtime advisor now at DTNS, what did you make of this whole Patreon stuff?
I I expected the same sort of reaction that happened, was that change causes everyone to lose their mind.
Mm-hmm.
And everything's going to have to change. And no one's going to be happy with that change. From a business perspective, I understand that patrons got to come up with some answers on how to be more able to pass along the savings to the creators, and how to solve that problem. But I have found that being from a technology, people respond to change, having managed some folks when it comes to technology, that when you have given them something and you proceed to take it away, everyone reacts poorly.
Yeah. And I get where they wanted to simplify some things, and everything they did on paper made sense from that level. Like, it didn't hurt creators. It simplified a bunch of things. If anything, they might have taken a hit if their average fee calculations were off, but probably not that much of a hit. Maybe they would have made a little extra money too. It could go either way, but I never believed it was a money grab. But it just it was not patron friendly. And while Patreon resolved that by saying we're creator focused, which is good for me as a creator, the creators are patron focused. And we're like, but now you're putting us in the position of dissatisfying the patrons. And I'm glad they got that.
Yes, and I thought that was remarkable how quickly they changed and turned on the dime and said, "Oh, wait, we got it. We are sorry," and to publicly admit that when you make a mistake, and that's a difficult thing to do as a business, or as an online presence, to admit openly that we made a mistake.
It's
But
interesting that you say quickly, because a lot of people thought it took them too long.
Well, of course, there were always that, but
Yeah.
I knew that waiting. I didn't change any of my my pledges levels, and so I knew that waiting was going to be the best thing, which is, I think, what some folks in the Slack advise, is like, you know what, everyone just hang tight, and we'll see what things shake out. And we're weeks away from the next pledge commitment, and so it was a lot of craziness, because I think our Slack had over hundreds and hundreds of messages within an hour.
Yeah.
So it was a little distracting.
And that's just the analysts, right? Like, that's just the people at the $20 level and above. It was a lot. It was a lot to deal with. BioCat wants to know if there's any more tools we could think of that would make the doc or spreadsheet easier to use for us. Which, if you don't know, BioCat created a script for our spreadsheet, which allows Roger to press a button that changes the color of the top bar, so we know we need to kind of wrap up and move on to the next thing, which has been fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, like, I'm just thinking, like, if in terms of rundown tools, just having a countdown clock just somewhere on the top that just counts down time, because as it is, I bounce between, depending on what computer I'm on. I'm either looking at a corner or whatever, and I'm trying to get everything on one page would be nice.
Yeah, or even just a clock, not even whether it's countdown or.
Oh yeah, like just something to give me.
Yes, so you could see the time right where it is. No, that's cool. Any other thoughts on how the show's been going, Paul?
I've enjoyed everything that's been going on. I think the changes and the additional labs are great. The only problem I'm running into is the amount of time that I now have to commit extra to be able to listen to the extra pieces and parts that come into my feed. So I usually listen on my way in my commute when I take my kids to school and on my way into work. But on the days that I don't take them into school, it's only a quick 10-minute commute to work, which is very convenient for me, but it cuts into my available listening time.
Yeah.
And that if I try to listen to, excuse me, I think I had the same genus that Sarah had.
I know. Yeah, it's genus throat Sunday.
I find myself being unable to listen to the podcast and trying to do other work, trying to do other activities. Driving is just something that I can usually listen to a radio station or that sort of thing, and find that I can listen to the podcast without losing track of what's being talked about. Because if I'm trying to read emails while listening to the show, I immediately get distracted, and 2 minutes later I'm like, wait a minute, what are they talking about? They changed topics already.
Yeah.
That. So for me, I need to be having some focused time where I'm not actively mentally engaged in something like reading or trying to solve problems.
Oh yeah, I would not be able to read and listen to a informational anything at the same time. That would be difficult.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If there's words involved, I hear them. I can't not hear them, and it keeps me from being able to concentrate on anything else that I'm doing.
I do not, I'm because we do our show. I'm not always listening to it later, although I do sometimes. But I find, yeah, driving is one of those times where I absorb stuff well. And then also jogging. I love podcast jogging because it helps me, like, I don't know, I go somewhere else rather than this machine.
Thinking about how long you have left or whatever. Yeah.
It helps me sort of escape the reality that I'm jogging.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Same here.
Yeah.
I can't listen to audiobooks when I drive. I can listen to podcasts because, if I have to navigate a weird left turn or something and I miss a couple of lines, it's usually not hard to pick up where I was because the words are still in my head, kind of echoing around, versus if I'm reading something, I just blank out, like you were saying, Paul. But if I'm listening to an audiobook, that's something where I want to hear every single word. And if I drift away from the book because I'm paying attention to driving, I feel like that's important. I should prioritize the driving. And so I tend not to listen to audiobooks unless I really know where I'm going and I can kind of drive on autopilot.
A couple of times that I've listened to audiobooks when it comes to enjoying them and being able to pay attention and concentrate is when I'm driving long distances.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to be making a bunch of turns. I'm not going to be making a bunch of course corrections. I'm going to be going between states or between countries. And
you just stay in your lane for a long time.
If they could build like the rewind and fast forward controls into the steering wheel like they do with the radio controls, it'd be great. Because oh no, I'm coming into an interstate. Like if I'm driving on the interstate, it's like, oh, I'm coming into an area where I got to dodge 4 semis and a guy who can't drive, put on pause, go around them, and you set it back, kind of like cruise control.
Just need CarPlay.
Yeah. Well, that's, you bring up a good question about having too much in the feed. Everyone is free to skip episodes if they don't sound interesting. And Daily Tech Headlines is kind of born of the idea of, I can't listen for a week because I'm out of town, but I want to keep up. Right. You can always have that because it's just a couple minutes each time. But yeah, so we'll keep taking feedback on whether you want labs to be in the main feed or should it be broken out. My problem with breaking it out into its own feed is then a lot of people won't hear it. And the idea is these are experimental things that we want you to hear and give feedback on. And the ones that really take off might deserve become their own show at some point, but we won't get the exposure if we don't put it in the main feed.
Exactly. And I don't think anything diminishing from the feed because those are the optional episodes. So I certainly don't prioritize them over the other, the daily feeds, but, and certainly keeping the headlines short and quick. I mean, even if I am in the office, I will go ahead and take the time. And I usually use the Anchor app to listen to that. And those controls actually are pretty slick. If you do miss something, you can go back one quick story and start it over again. Although I do find sometimes the audio quality, because of the way it's being recorded, because it is on a phone, changes and varies from day to day.
Yep. Nope, that's true. We could fix that by recording locally and uploading, but it triples the time that it takes for the Anchor stuff. So I'll keep thinking about that. I've been trying to find a good mic to Lightning interface that would work for that. Anchor was only iOS though, but now it's not. So maybe I could try a different phone. We'll see. We'll keep playing with that. Hey, if you want to give us feedback on the show, there's all kinds of ways. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com, commenting on the blog, commenting on the Patreon, sending us messages through the Patreon. But we're going to be doing a survey. And this is something I try to do around twice a year to just kind of ask you questions like, what do you think of this? What do you think of that? It's one of the ways we know, what segments are clicking with people and why. So keep an eye out this week for that link. We'll be posting it in the Patreon. We'll be posting it on the site. We'll mention it in the show. And if you can take a couple minutes and fill it out once it's out there, it's super helpful to us.
Yes. please fill out the survey. It just helps us get a better sense of who you are, what you like, and what we can do to make your life even better.
Yeah. I think that's pretty much it. That's all we've got. Paul, thank you for supporting us on Patreon and being willing to jump on and be the representative of the audience.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
Appreciate
I look forward
that.
to these emails when they come out, and whatever I'm doing, I stop immediately to reply.
Yeah. If you're an advisor at the advisor level on Patreon, you can be like Paul. Just keep an eye out when we ask on either on Patreon or in the Slack. Roger, Sarah, anything else before we wrap this up?
Oh, go ahead, Roger.
Oh, I just wanted to thank everyone for sticking with us through this whole kind of Patreon thing, because it really underscores how much we not only rely on you but appreciate your support that helps us continue the show.
Yeah, I would echo that. And also, thanks to everybody who's been so good to us, having me on the show. And it's almost like I'm like, did I used to not do the show? I know.
I was about to say the same thing. It's like you've always been here.
I know. So, and that's great. That's, that speaks to the fact that it was already a good show, and I'm lucky to be here. And I just, I continue to love getting to know everybody that's part of this community, and love getting your feedback. And thanks to everybody for being part of the audience and being part of the show.
Yeah. I can only say I second these emotions myself. You guys, I honestly did not think, if you had asked me in January 2014, will you still be doing daily tech news show in 2018? I would have said, probably not. It'll change, or it'll sputter out. And the fact that we're not only still here, but growing because of you is insane. I cannot thank you enough. So keep the support up as much as you can. Those of you who can't, we totally understand. There's always somebody else to pick you up. And if you can be that person that picks somebody else up, we love that too. The cops are coming. I don't know if you can hear that. So I have to go. I have to run. No. Thanks everybody for joining us. We'll see you on Monday.
All right.
See you Monday.